Now, an update on the situation in the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. The uncertain political situation there, following the ouster of the Mengistu government, has taken an anti-American turn. Earlier, I spoke with the Washington Post's Jennifer Parmalee from her room in the Hilton Hotel. She and 4 other journalists were attacked by an angry mob when their car left the American embassy grounds this morning. I asked her to describe what happened.
We were doing our level best to avoid the mob to the south of the embassy, so I took us on a back road thinking I would get us back to the center, and it seemed that at every turn we ran into yet a new mob of, hundreds of people. I mean, there were just so many people out there this afternoon, and finally I realized that the only way that we would get through would be to just drive right through the crowd. And of course, they immediately surrounded the vehicle, began rocking it, pelting it with stones, banging at it with clubs and sticks. And, I realized that our only alternative was just to step on the gas and honk like crazy. And we did. And fortunately, nobody was hurt.
Tell me, Jennifer, tell me what you understand is their complaint.
Well, many Ethiopians in the capital feel betrayed by the American government, which they have long considered a friend and ally, even if they weren't able to say it under the long years of repression by the departed president, Mengistu Haile Mariam. And they feel that essentially the Americans have gave the okay for a rebel group to come in and take over the capital when they had hoped that these peace talks in London would in fact produce a quick transition to a democratic system. What they had hoped for was an immediate agreement to form a transitional government. Instead, that has been postponed until at least July 1st. So many, not only the people in the street, but many intellectuals said, why couldn't the Americans have sent in a neutral force such as the OAU or the Organization for African Unity or the United Nations instead of another group of men with guns? I mean, what you've got here is an incredible and complex brew of ethnic tensions, political tensions, 17 years of repression, and pent-up anger against a brutal regime, and just plain fear. And you add to that a very strong sentiment that Ethiopians have that Eritrea is a part of the country, and a sense of deep betrayal by the Americans, and you've got all the makings for an explosion. And I think that was what we were seeing today.
Yeah. And is it the feeling in the American community there that this is going to continue because those emotions are still alive?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, first of all, the authorities have slapped on a new 24-hour curfew for tomorrow, and they've warned that this time they intend to enforce it, unlike the past few days. And I think, and I hope, that most Ethiopians will go home tonight and reconsider a bit, because there is no great wellspring of hatred against the Americans. On the contrary, there has always been a deep feeling of friendship between the two countries. And this is a country that has exported thousands of Ethiopians to the United States. Thousands of Ethiopians study there, live there. And there has always been a certain admiration for the American system. So I think that with time and reflection, this sudden burst of emotion will simmer down. But again, this is an explosion that comes after 17 years of repression. How long will it take to put it out? It's just too early to say.
Let me ask you, there is some speculation I see that some Ethiopians fear that what has happened is that they have traded one repressive totalitarian regime for what may turn out to be another one. Is that part of the unhappiness that caused these demonstrations today?
It certainly is, especially among the intellectuals. It's hard, of course, to get a feeling for the mob psychology, but among many, I talked to one professor, a professor of political science, and he said, we've lived 17 years under men with guns, and here again we've got another group coming in of men with guns, and we have learned from long and bitter experience that you don't trust these kind of people, because in the end, once you let them consolidate their grip on power, you can't get rid of them.
So they don't trust the group that the United States has sanctioned to help promote a liberal democracy a few weeks down the line.
No, they don't, and this is essentially an emotional response, because this group, the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, is still a mysterious group, I think, even to the U.S. government. I mean, this is a group that has been out in the countryside for 17 years, and only a year or two ago did its leaders ever travel outside the country. And all of a sudden, they heard the music and what was happening around the world and decided, okay, it's time to at least change our face publicly and open ourselves to mixed economy and to the notions of democracy. And certainly all the rebels I have talked to, even down to the foot soldier level, now pay lip service to democracy. But there's also a very clear core of Marxists who remain at the center of this group, and lip service or no, of course, it's always hard to know what people will do once they get into power.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jennifer Parmalee, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
You're very welcome.